Disclaimer: the views and opinions expressed by the host may not state or reflect those of peers and its members. Furthermore, the views and opinions made by the resource persons do not reflect those of the program, peers, and its members.
To all our friends, viewers, followers, fellow movers for real democracy and development, Filipinos here and abroad, naimbaga bigat, maayong buntag, maray na aga, mayapay yabak, maupay nga aga, mapia kapipita, sabal kair, maayong aga, magandang umaga, good morning. You have to pardon me with my hoarse voice this morning. In fact, I was quite thinking whether I would be able to make it. It's a good thing that we have two young people here. They used to be my classmates before, no, at least in my dreams. No, so I'm sure, of course, that they will be able to talk a lot more than I do. No, this morning we will be talking about, of course, not only the coming elections, but I have to say, what was this considerations we have as far as the coming elections are concerned. You know, when we speak of elections, and these have been revealed in so many studies, and we at Peers also did our own focus group discussion early on. No? We did a national study starting in June, and we've just concluded another round, which we are going to reveal publicly sometime soon. You know, people still really look at elections very keenly. No, they're very much still interested in elections. You know, you're going to campaign compare Philippine democracy and Philippine elections in other countries, you will notice that in terms of voting, uh, uh, in terms of voting turnout, many of the established democracies, and I suppose this is the trend, usually the voting turnout is not even 60%.
Yeah.
In our case, we haven't even gone down to 80%. And so when you ask people, and this is what we did, no? Alam ang familiar po kasi tayo sa mga usual numerical or quantitative survey. Tinatanong lang tayo kung sino bang iboboto nyo kung ngayon po gagawin ang halalan. Hindi po sapat 'yon. Kaya po kami gumagawa kami ng periodic na FGD, bumababa kami, kinakausap namin tao sa tao at uh, harapan po sila na nakikipag-usap sa amin at tinatanong namin kung ano ang sitwasyon. At sa totoo lang, kayo po ay magugulat sa pulso ng taong bayan pagdating sa politika. Madalas ang iniisip natin, hindi nag-iisip ang mga tao, kaya ganito ang nangyayari sa ating bayan. Pero sa totoo po, hindi po dahil sa tao, hindi po dahil sa kultura, hindi dahil sa ugali, kung bakit ganito ang ating politika. Nandito po kami para pag-usapan kung ano yung mga dapat nating isaalang-alang pagdating sa halalan at samahan niyo po kami, huwag po kayong mag-atubiling magtanong at kami po ay sasagot hanggat kaya ng aming nalalaman. Nang sa ganun tayo po pare-pareho ay magkapalitan at matuto sa isa't isa sa darating na halalan. Uulitin ko, sa amin po sa peers, napatunayan namin na napakahalaga ng halalan at ito ay ramdam ng ating taong bayan. Bago po tayo magsimula, ipapakilala ko lang sa inyo ang ating mga panauhin. No? Simulan natin sa dati kong estudyante po, aaminin ko na. No? Si Professor E.G. Afable, nagtuturo sa San Beda College in Alabang. Magandang umaga, E.G.
Good morning, sir.
Napaka-short naman ang greeting mo.
Good morning, sir. I hope you feel well.
Pangalawa po, hindi ko na inabutan ito sa kolehiyo. Pero yung pinag-graduatean niya, hindi niya na lalaman, nagturo po ako doon. So huwag niyo nang itatanong kung gaano kalaki ang agwat namin. No? Kasi nakilala ko po siya dahil din sa isang kaibigan. No? At taga Mindanao po siya. At isa po sa totoo lang, movers talaga ng Mindanao kasi karamihan sabi nila, no, ito ang paniwala ng karamihan ng tao. Actually ito si EG taga Mindanao din naman pero dito sa Manila naka-base. Ang sabi nila lahat daw ng nakapag-aral, lahat ng magagaling nasa Manila, hindi po totoo 'yun. Yun siguro depende na lang kung saang barberia kayo nagpapagupit at yun ang madidinig ninyo. Pero marami pong magagaling na nasa probinsya, na nasa Mindanao. Isa po dito si Professor Anton, nagtuturo din. At isa po hindi lang po nagtuturo, kung hindi isa sa mga development worker natin sa Mindanao. Magandang umaga sa iyo, Professor Anton.
Sir, maayong buntag sa tanan, no? Greetings from Mindanao. Also, sir, hope you're feeling well.
Salamat. Alam mo, sabi nila, the show must go on. No? Alam mo kasi kami sa peers, halin-hinan kaming nagho-host, no? Depende sa nagiging topic. Nagkataon na itong linggong ito na ako ang host, no? Syempre lalo't-lalo ng undas, syempre nakapahinga ang karamihan kaya talagang ganun ang sistema natin. Pero gusto ko rin naman kasi ang topic natin, ano? Pag-usapan natin ano ba sa tingin ninyo? Anong mga importante nating dapat tingnan? Anong observation ninyo sa politika, sa darating na halalan? Ano bang nakikita ninyo? Paano bang naging linyahan o naging latagan? No? In other words, what can you say about the kind of candidates that who are running today? And also, how do you foresee the voters which is choosing, no, their candidates, no? In the first place, By the way, I asked the both of you to guess because kayo yung may pulso sa kabataan. No, I mean you're not really kabataan like still students or what, no, but you're still very much in touch with the young voters, especially perhaps with the newly registered voters, no. Perhaps you can somehow share a thing or two, no. Feel free to just speak your mind, no, as far as this issue. So in other words, anong nakikita ninyo both sa side ng mga tumatakbo at sa side ng mga boboto? Anyone can start.
Beauty before age. Anton.
Baka sir, parang lalim ng bulsa natin dun sir. Ayun nga sir, actually no, this is a very good and interesting question and point to share to all our viewers here. No? Ang napapansin po ngayon, especially in the context ng mga new and first time voter and mga yung tumakbo, nag-file ng candidacy in the coming election is malakas yung ano nila malakas yung call for their own identity. Napapansin ko ngayon sa mga nagfa-file ng candidacy, pabata ng pabata actually. And then they are using the modern strategy of social media into reaching the new voters. Yung mga kakilala ko naman po or yung mga contemporaries or mga acquaintances na new voter, kinakabahan. Ito, ba't kaya kinakabahan? Kinakabahan sila kasi they are now at their understanding na their vote really matters. Kumbaga, meron silang accountability in their mind na this is not just another 3-year, 5, 6-year term. This is actually me being in that actual years of voting a person who will be responsible for the governance in my locality, in my region, in my province, or in the national level. So parang mas na-enlighten sila kumbaga. Yung vote ko is, as we all know, a sacred vote. And only me, that is my reason for vote. And they are now being vocal about it. They are more careful in choosing who will they vote. And yung mga tumatakbo actually ngayon, kung in terms kung pag-uusapan natin in the politics of things, mas natatakot kasi they are more careful on what they say, how they act, how they present themselves in public. Paano sila nababrand actually, yun yung nagiging napapansin ko lately here, especially sa Mindanao. More of an identity perspective and more of a personal attribution na ang i-vote ko this coming election will be the person who will really help me, not just another person who does the promises of a lifetime without even actually realizing. Yun yung perspective ko.
So at Anton, itong observation mo, more for the candidates that you know, they're in Mindanao. So mga local candidates ito.
Yes po sir, kasi if memory serves me right, marami rin actually mga neophyte candidates from the 2022 elections ang tumakbo. Ngayon, yung mga nakikita po natin kahit sa mass media or even in the presentation of their slate, mas maraming mga underdogs, mas kakaunti po yung mga re-electionists. Which is very surprised.
Yung noong 2022, itong mga tumakbong bago ka mo, mga nanalo ba sila?
Nanalo po sir, especially yung mga bata po. I think majority of the councilors in the country are on neophytes and young. And then yung mga ngayon sa 2024 po sir, is marami ring mga bata na tumatakbo. And then if tatanungin mo in the discourse kahit sa mga usapang kanto, usapang tropa, or usapang professional, they are really more vocal on tumakbo ka na, you're young. Hindi na parang, why are you running? You're young. While you're young, do your thing. Yun yung narinig ko in the circle of things ngayon po, sir. May it be from, kahit usapang barbero nga, they even praise na, grabe ba, mga bata karon kursunada na, or in Tagalog, grabe yung mga bata ngayon. They are really go for it. They are no longer afraid. Parang narinig mo, parang, you have that little glimpse of hope ba na parang, oo nga, no? Parang, gone are the days na parang, ayoko, nahihiya ako. Ayoko, parang, baka paginitan ako. Ayoko, baka pagalitan ako. Pero, I can count with my hands na parang kakilala ko within akbay level na gusto kong tumakbo. Like, bakit? I'm tired of hearing the olds. I want to do my change. I want to do my part. May it be running for elections or being actually present in different organizations. Magugulat ka po, sir, as in, like, I swear.
That's
Nakakagulat.
interesting. That's interesting, Anton. Do you see the same thing, EG?
Actually, that validates actually my premise of the long-term trend. As I would always say, let's start with where is the Philippines at? We are right now in a demographic dividend. In a way where you will see now the youngest person of working age and the oldest person working for the next. It started 2015, then we hope we can maximize it by 2060. So just just that from what Anton mentioned, the more younger people, para nga may changing of the guards na nga within the politicos. I agree with that. 2022 saw that. Um, the other side of the coin there is, yes, it's a changing of the guards, but it's still the same surnames. Uh, but again, it's generational ang nakikita ko. That's one. Um, uh, jump Jumping off from 2022, sir, is clearly the effects of COVID was really felt. Uh, uh, Again, my apologies. Vote buying became more rampant. It became more obvious. It came to a point the next day naubusan ng cellphone yung mga smartphones, di ba? There was this anecdotal, nagkaubusan ng smartphones the next day.
Saan yan? Hindi ko...
Here in Metro Manila, sir, I think if it was one of the news, that because of rampant vote buying, so the money that the politicians are able to give 2022, they used it to buy smartphones.
Ibulong mo sa akin mamaya dyan, ha? Malilipat ako ng registration ko dyan. Ako boboto.
Lipat kayo, sir.
Oo.
That's one. So the demographic dividend, ideally, it looks at it economically, but it has both political and socio-cultural implications as well. It now, like what Anton mentioned, mas demanding na ngayon yung taong bayan na kailangan ko ng trabaho. Okay, how can we maximize now the potential of a large sector of our population who can be productive? Just imagine if everybody that was in that population would have a job, so much taxes, so much, we could, ano na nga if I may borrow the concept of Heidiran, the aspirational middle class during the Aquino administration was smashed during the COVID. Kasi nakita how weak our institutions were. The aspirational middle class, these are the people that benefited from 4Ps, na nakaangat na yung buhay, pero nung pagdating ng COVID, biglang everything, dwindled. Nagkasakit, namatay. So they had to build it from scratch. More so now, more pronounced the impact of climate change. Wherein money talks. Unfortunately, it's still there. So that's one trend that I see. Vote buying will just become higher next election, more pronounced through technology. So you might see crashes in GCash or what have you. That's one. The demographic dividend. The changing of guards of political families. Like Sir Ed mentioned before, it's really a systemic problem Until we fix the until such time that we pass an anti-dynasty law, we will just see the same old, same old.
Hindi nila ipapasa yan.
Ayun nga, exactly. Sila yung nakupo That's the end end of all. And but clearly, like what Anton mentioned, yung mga bata ngayon, mas alam na nila because of social media and the information on their hand. Yes, they are more cautious because to a certain extent they do not want to be cancel cultured, but they want to be authentic in their own ways. Takot sila na ma-cancel, but in the same way, they want to be authentic. So yes, I'm for me, my last looking at it is, let's see how the media influencers will come out in this election, because I see it as a parang it can be an uh balancing. It can it's in the tip of my tongue, Sir Ede. Yung it can balance the
Level.
there you go, level the playing field. Ika nga, kung ang results na, uy, may proof, may proof of concept.
Mhm.
To a certain extent, always ang issue is sustainability. Popular ka nga, pero what do you bring to the table? Which has always been the problem. That's my 2 cents for the first round.
Anyway, no, before I forget having to get back to what you guys mentioned, no? I have to insert this point, no? Yung ibig kong sabihin doon na off-cam, we were talking about why people vote as they do and so on, no? Hindi yan dahil sa kultura, hindi yan dahil sa ugali, no? Estudyante pa lang kayo, nakikwento ko na yan, EG, kung natatandaan mo. Lagi kong tinatanong, sino na dito yun nakarating ng Subic, nakarating ng Clark? Kasi yung mga motorista sa Maynila, madalas hindi marunong sumunod yan sa batas trapiko, Anton. I'm sure, of course, you noticed that when you were studying and when you frequent Manila. Bigla na lang tumatawid yung mga pedestrian, nagbibiting the red light yung mga motorista and so on and so forth, nagigit-gitan and so on. But the moment they get to Subic and Clark, wala pang ang traffic light bawat crossroad, no? I always emphasize you call it traffic light, hindi yan stop light, no? Kasi 3 hanggang 4 ang signal niyan. No? So, walang traffic light every crossroad in Subic and Clark, but every motorist, I don't know if you notice, always puts to a full stop. Kahit nga wala siyang kasunod, walang nasa harap niya natatawid and so on, always puts to a full stop at least for about 3 seconds before he goes on. Now, why? Precisely because the motorist is aware. Ano lang to, rational behavior ba? No? Alam niya na iba ang sistema doon, so susunod siya. Now, how do you apply that in politics? Again, ang mga Pilipino hindi marunong pumila madalas, no? Pero pag pinapila mo, makikita mo talagang merong order, no? And this is the reason why kahit ng mga Pilipino yan at sabi nila hindi marunong sumunod, walang disiplina, pagdating ng airport yan, kahit papaano, no, wag lang talagang sobrang gulo, merong pa ding order na makikita because whether you like it or not, again, you have to follow rules and regulations. This is also the reason why Filipinos always make it abroad when they go abroad, no? Ibang behavior ng Pilipino pagdating sa so in other words, if this is cultural uh, and not behavioral, then therefore Filipinos would not even have any chance when they go abroad. Now, how do you apply this in politics? We don't have real political parties. Kahit na wag ka na magpasa ng anti-political dynasty, maglagay ka lang ng tunay na political party. Lagi ko sinasabi, yung Omnibus Election Code na lang natin. Alam ba ninyo na 1940s legislation pa yan, guys? No? At the only time that it was revisited by the legislature is in 1985. Can you imagine? Before the 1987 Constitution. We have a law on automated elections and party list elections, but this does not even amount to a revisit and a revision of the Omnibus Election Code. Kaya pag tinignan mo yung Omnibus Election Code, talagang archaic na. At pag tinignan mo yung provision ng political party doon, ang tingin lang ng political party campaign mechanism. Taga Mindanao kayo pareho, basahin ninyo yung electoral code ng BARM. I am very, very, very amazed and You know, I I hate to say it, pero naiinggit ako sa kanila, no? Kasi pag tinignan mo yung electoral code nila, talagang napaka comprehensive. No? So, in other words, until such time that we treat political parties as integral, a fundamental element in the political system, and we're not even talking of the wholesale change with the presidential, parliamentary, or federal unitary, and so on. Doon lang muna tayo. Political party, electoral system reform. Now, going back, kasi we're talking about electoral behavior. Absent all these systemic fundamentals, ito yung meron tayo eh. Yun ang problema dito. So, naging optimistic ako ha. Bigla naramdaman ko yung optimism doon sa sinabi ninyong dalawa. Pero ang tanong, bakit sa social media, nabanggit mo yung cancel culture, EG for example, no? Bakit sa social media, pumapatok pa din yung mga bastos? O tama ba ako ng pagtingin na uso pa din ba yung mga bastos katulad ng mga nakaraang halalan? Kailan ba nagsimula yan? Yung bigla na lang magmumura, no? Parang I'm sorry I
Let's
believe I'm an appointee of the previous president myself.
yes.
And believe din ako diyan kay President Duterte. Hindi naman mahirap hindi kumbaga bumilib sa kanya, no? Pero sa akin, no, kung akong tatanungin mo, hindi ba mas maganda kung meron kang pangulo na hindi lang hindi lang action man, hindi lang talagang uh, banat kung banat, kung hindi marunong din nung, alam mo na, makipag-usap ng maayos. Iba kasi, no? And you guys are professors yourself. I don't know if you know this, no? The way you handle your students, no, also has something to do with language.
Yes.
Kung bastos ka, naku, mabuti kung hindi ka din bastusin ng mga yan. Okay? So, ngayon ang tanong, what do you see? Ganon pa din ba? I mean, ang social media ba ganon pa din? At bakit? Anong explanation dito?
Baka
Siguro
mas
you can start, EG.
sige. Let's start, sir, with regards to if you had a disclaimer with regards to being a political appointee, I'll frame it naman from a voter's perspective. Let's go back in 2016. I voted for Duterte.
I
Okay?
voted for Duterte
Yeah,
myself.
I voted for Duterte. It's because of the frustration of the aspirational middle class after Pinoy. I was part of I was part of government at that time. I saw how frustrating it was. The expectations of the middle class as it was growing at that time was not met. Hence, they wanted a proof of concept, a guy like what you mentioned, an action man. Here comes Duterte. To a certain extent, Anton hit it in the nail. Duterte's empathize to the millennial vote that being authentic, yung pagbumura, but he gets results done. Leveraging what he did in Davao. So, in the same way, the technological impact also, during the 2016 campaign, how I see it was the shift towards technology already. We were already moving towards no longer gut campaigning, wherein we were now using evidence based. The handlers of the Duterte campaign saw the numbers. If Grace Po and Mar Rojas did not consolidate, they had a chance to win, and that's how it happened. We would have not had the Duterte administration if Grace Po and Mar Rojas consolidated their forces. Uh, More the Duterte campaign also used the power of social media. It blasted to all sectors, be it civil society, business, the middle class, the poor. on one key issue, sir, which was basically hindi siya actually issue na yung like what they said, yung drugs was not really one of the top issues before, di ba? Siya yung he he dictated the narrative on that. Uh, uh but
Magandang point yan.
concept, yeah, the key concept that I believe in, and I'm also studying, is he transcended the aspiration of the voters of transformative leadership. Babaguhin ko ang sistema at giginhawa ang buhay nyo na may tapang at malasakit, di ba? Yun yung catch doon eh. You are both cared for but with the strength of getting it done, which was the frustration of the Pinoy administration. The gains were not felt immediately. So hence the frustration. They wanted it already because they were working, the middle class was working hard, everyday traffic, tapos ang laming palusot at that time. Just the mere fact that the MRT lumusot, di ba? Along EDSA extension, there was no acceptable excuse for that. So
Alam
that's where I was. It totally, in other words, sir, it smashed for me my post-mortem after 2016. It smashed the bobotante. Na maybe it's the middle class who is the bobotante. The educated middle class. Kasi just look at the numbers. There are more of them there were more of us in 2016 who voted for Duterte than the educated supposedly. Well, the educated actually voted some
marami din.
substantially. Diba, sir?
Marami din. Actually, when I looked at the results of the 2016 elections, you will be surprised. In fact, mas maraming bumoto na class A and B.
Mm-mm.
So you can just imagine how to my mind that even validates what you're saying, no? Kasi parang it's a complete departure, no, from the kind of politics that we've all been seeing ever since. Pero ako I'm going to agree with you 100% with how Duterte ran the government before. At least if our basis is Duterte himself, no, the man himself, and not the people making up his government, and especially not until the what's this the pandemic, kasi doon sa pandemic talagang hindi mo nakita yung mga hindi mo readily makikita yung mga what's this um what was this scene of commission scenes of commissions and omissions at that time, kasi lahat ng tao may sakit eh, and lahat ng tao busy with the taking care of their siblings and so on and so forth. But my number one question, and siguro tanungin ko si Anton, dahil doon sa uh, paano ba pagbabago, no, yung hindi lang pagbabago ng gobyerno, kung hindi to my mind what happened during the time of Duterte is the changing the character of politics eh. So yun ba ang rason kung bakit sa social media mas gusto natin yung nagmumurahan tayo? Yung mga troll nakakainis lang. I mean, ako pakikinggan ko pa si President Duterte up to now kasi may mensahe yung mama eh. Kahit na nagmumura yung tao, it's because of the emotion. Ang naiinis ako din dito sa social media, sa tingin ba ninyo, ang tawag dito, nagre-resonate pa din yan sa mga tao? Pagka nagmumurahan, mas gusto pa rin ng mga tao. Gusto talaga ng mga tao yun? Is it because of the standard set by Duterte, or paano ba? How do we make sense of it?
Well, dalawa lang ano natin, sir. Dalawa yung sagot ko dyan. I think it's more of a tawag nito, a coming of age thing siguro. No? I think if hindi kayo narinig nyo na through social media yung term na normalize, let's normalize things. And yung pangalawa, yung sabi nga ni Sir EG, sabi niya nga na ayaw kong makancel. So, kapag na-marry natin yung dalawang perspective na yun, sa pagmumura in social media, to providing how you put your comments in Facebook or any other social media platforms. To actually, kung ikaw ay isang media influencer, mas pinapakinggan pag puro yung pagkasabi mo, puro Bisaya, puro Tagalog. Hindi na pinapansin mismo kung yung when you're talking in straight literate English, parang na ano ka na shame ka. Ba't ka nag-English? Hindi ka naman Amerikano. Diba? So, going back na-normalize siya kasi it's what people sees every day through our previous administration, through the language that most of the people speak. Okay. Mga Bisaya parang ano nga to parang karugtong ng pagsalita nila ang pagmumura. Pero hindi lahat ng pagmumura nila ay pagmumura to degrade. It's an expression of things.
True.
Parehas lang din naman ito sa mga Tagalog. Na
Yes.
karugtong din ng expression nila ang pagmumura
So,
in a
totoo.
way to provide their genuine intent. Parang may punto ba? So na-normalize siya and then you have this previous Duterte na openly pagmumura. So it was like ay okay lang pala. Like I can exercise my freedom of speech. Ang nakabahala lang is the trolls keep on trolling.
Yes.
Yun ang tinatanong ko sa inyo. Kasi naintindihan natin yan. In fact, wag lang hindi na lang to sa Pilipino, Anton eh. Kahit naman sa mga puti eh.
Hmm.
Yung WTF, given na yan sa kanila. No? So, it's, paano ba? It shows your emotion eh. Nakikita yung ramdam mo talaga yung sinasabi mo kaya napapamura ka. No? Ang point ko lang is sa social media, hindi ba pwedeng masabihan tong mga ito? Ang tatapang kasi dahil sa hindi naman nila ginagamit yung pangalan nila, no? So, yun ang tanong ko, anong possible explanation dito? Siguro hindi dapat mga political scientists at mga uh, diplomacy graduates ang tanungin ko dito, ano? Mga sociologists. Kasi kaya ako tinatanong yan, kasi nabanggit nyo din kanina, lalo na yung mga bagong tumatakbo ngayon, nagre-rely sa social media. So, I'm asking this question because I want to uh, understand, no? Do people actually buy this style, this language, and would it amount to votes, no?